You know, I'm an academic, and professors learn early on in their careers the value of that old adage, don't judge a book by its cover. We see all makes and models and shapes and colors and philosophies and aptitude at North Hennepin. And we can rarely tell the diamonds from the chunks of coal when we meet the charges in our classes for the first time. Well, I only had Josh Houston, our guest tonight, in one class, environmental science, early in my career. My first impression of him was memorable, and it reinforced that old adage as part of my life training. I remember vividly walking around the classroom that day in 1997. Do you? You probably don't, Josh. I was handing out syllabi to each student and greeting them, and I happened upon this skinny kid with a spit-shined, polished head and about 4 pounds of what I like to call metallic sculpture hanging from his various facial ridges and protrusions. It wasn't that unique, and it still wouldn't be today, frankly, but when he looked up at me and said, "Thank you, sir," I noticed that I could see a little of myself in his eyes. Now, I don't mean that metaphorically, people. I could literally see myself in his eyes, which were steely, mirrored, full eyeball spheres, the product of special order contact lenses. Now, freaky. The next week it was sclera white contacts with only tiny holes where the pupils were. This was followed by solid black for a week. And finally the piece de resistance, do you remember? Green alien lizard with a slit pupil. All part of a matching set, I found out. Now, I try not to judge, but I got to tell you, I thought secretly, here's a guy who's going to either end up as the front man for a glam metal tribute band or be a lawyer. But I soon found out what Anwinia and all of his other professors at North Hennepin had already found out. That underneath all that facial bling and ocular mystique was an extremely bright young man with wonderful insights and comments in the classroom, a calm demeanor, and kind of a disarming charm. And if you've talked to him tonight at all, I think you'll find that as well. I did tell you I'm not going to hug you when you come up here, though, right? A wonderfully capable and engaged learner. After he took apart North Hennepin and got his AA degree in 1998 at our college, he earned a BS in marketing from the prestigious Carlson School of Management at the University of Minnesota. He wasn't done. He followed that up by making quick work of law school at the University of Minnesota and received his JD in 2005. With a trifecta of diplomas in hand, he hightailed it southeast, though, to Florida, where he began working for the state's attorney's office and has now risen to the rank of assistant state attorney for Citrus County. Well, I doubt seriously that he any longer wears those zombie-like white eyeball contacts while prosecuting the miscreant scofflaws of the Sunshine State's West Coast. I gotta tell you, I would pay good money to see that. We are both excited and privileged to have Josh Houston back at his home institution tonight. He has done himself and this college proud and is a great example of what North Hennepin and higher education in Minnesota is all about. He's also a fine example of how diligence and a good attitude and some wit can be life-changing. On behalf of North Hennepin and the community, I'm privileged to introduce to you the North Hennepin Community College 2010 Distinguished Alumnus, Josh Houston.
You know, when I started at North Hennepin here, I never in 1,000 years would have ever expected I'd end up here or doing what I'm doing now. I had a bit of a troubled background, which led me to ultimately dropping out of high school in 10th grade. And it wasn't until several years in a construction accident occurred that I gave formal education a second thought. I'd come from a family where no one had ever gone to post-secondary education, never got a degree, and I was never expected that, in fact, that would be something I would pursue. When I started at North Hennepin, my intent was only to go 2 years, just get some kind of education so that I didn't have to work out in the elements, out in the Minnesota winters, if you will. And once I got here, met some of the instructors, Ann Winia, Paul Melcher. I've seen a couple others here tonight that I had as instructors as well, and found myself inspired by their joy of teaching and their ability to go the extra mile to give me the assistance that I needed in pursuing my education. And when I started again, I had taken a number of psychology courses, and loved the psychology courses, but refused to entertain psychology as a major because it was going to take too many years of school. 9 years later, I'm just finishing school. So it's been a very interesting experience, and it's just something that for all of you that are working with the school to understand that some of your students, some of the people that you work with, you may just be planting a seed within them at this time that may turn into something that you may never expect. As Paul mentioned, I certainly had a rebellious streak, if you will, when I started, and still carry some of that. But it's actually been that's motivated me, and you know, so keep that in mind. And I encourage any of you that are working as teachers or working with North Hennepin that you do yourself and the community a great service, and we very much appreciate that. Because if it weren't for folks like you, people like myself would have never had this opportunity. So I very much appreciate being recognized tonight, and I thank you for your time.